Let's chat.
In 1986, the Challenger space shuttle exploded only 73 seconds after liftoff. Now, out of that tragedy was born an excellent learning opportunity that we are happy to have right here in Chattanooga and at other locations across the country. We're talking about the Challenger Center, and specifically the one at UTC. Here to give us some information on how the center is faring today and through the past couple of months is Executive Director of the Challenger Center, Dr. Perry Story. Good morning, Dr. Story.
Good morning.
How are you? Thanks for joining us.
Well, we're doing very well in the COVID era, so we're waiting to see how things are going to go with our schools over the next few weeks.
Absolutely. Can you briefly tell us a little bit about, Dr. June Scobie-Rogers, who is really the brain behind the Challenger Centers and her vision for these centers?
Well, Dr. Rogers, we're just so fortunate that she lives here in Chattanooga, that she's chosen to live here, and as the founding director for the National Center in DC, and as under the umbrella for all the Challenger Centers, about 40 of us around the world. She has been the inspiration in STEM education for over 30 years now. So when you think about the milestones of starting a program over 30 years ago that had a STEM focus, it wasn't called STEM then, but it is now. It's a remarkable legacy for her and her vision for what could be done with space programs, space missions, and working with young people.
Absolutely. She is very much at the forefront of what we, like you mentioned, now know as STEM education. All right, so each of the centers is independently run, and you just mentioned it a few moments ago. Of course, the coronavirus has thrown a loop in everyone's plans. How has the center fared over the past few months, and how are things different today?
Well, one of the things that, as part of our network program, we actually had our national meeting 10 days ago. It was a 3-day Zoom conference. We normally go to DC and have it. So it was an opportunity for us to link in with all of our other centers to see what was going on. And I think we're in the same situation as most of the other centers. We have some centers that are connected with schools. We have some that are connected with higher education institutions like us, and we have some that are independent. So all those are working their way through various programs. Now for us, we actually had our 25th anniversary on March 12th. And about a few days later is when the shutdown process started happening. So we were having another extremely successful year, on track to meet our annual goal of 10,000 plus customers coming in to the center, and then everything just stopped. And that's what's happened around the world. When we talk to the centers, it doesn't matter where it is, the same thing has happened. So what we really have been doing is working our way through reintegrating back into our center. Now, as a university campus, we've also been reintegrating back in with UTC students. So Monday was the first day for UTC students to come back in. And our building here is not just a center for the Challenger Center, it's also a university classroom. We host teacher education programs and classes in here. And so this week, we're getting to see what it's like having students back in our classrooms. And that's been an exciting piece for us. It's also been an exciting piece for UTC to see the students back. Our next steps that we're involved with is basically waiting and in monitoring and working with our local schools to see how their startups are going on. And as you're aware, I know you guys have reported on it, there's so many different ways that schools are starting right now. Some are starting full tilt, some are starting with hybrid, some are starting with online and moving to campus. And so we're waiting to see how that's going to operate so we can gauge what types of assistance we can provide. And we think we're going to basically be doing a multi-level programming until maybe things get back to normal.
Right,
and
of course.
So and so what we're looking at is virtual missions. We have some virtual missions that are coming on board that we're working with. And then we are also going to be taking programs out to schools once they open. And then we're actually going to be booking missions in the future too. So we're really excited about that whole process.
Perfect. Of course, it is always exciting to have, students return back into the classroom. Seems like a step closer to what we know as our previous normal, but we are in a new normal now. Tell me a little bit more about those virtual missions. If parents are interested in learning more online or being a part of a virtual learning experience, where do we need to sign up?
Well, this is a collaborative process with all of our Challenger centers. And so we actually started working on this in the summer. We have big summer camps that we do, which we had to cancel. A lot of the centers are in the same boat. So we actually started working on these new virtual missions, and they're coming online over the next 2 or 3 weeks as we start seeing things happening. And what we're actually going to be able to do is to deliver these into classrooms. We can do them with homeschool groups. We can do them with other groups that we can serve. Now, the best way to contact us is telephone 423-425-2191. If you want to go in and see about programs, you can just go utc.edu/Challenger Center, or you can say Challenger Center Chattanooga, and that will get you there. And so as we work on those, now the next step, we've actually been had some conversations with some teachers looking back in October, November, anticipating that we can come into schools. We're actually working on some STEM programs to take into schools too.
Dr. Story, I hate to interrupt you. We are running out of time, but we will check back in to stay updated as a phased reopening continues through the rest of fall and how students and parents and classrooms can get more involved. Again, for more information, you can always visit them online or give them a phone call to get involved with the virtual learning happening soon.